The old oak tree stood silently on the edge of the field, its roots deep, its branches reaching wide. For generations, it had offered shade, shelter, and a quiet witness to the changing seasons. But a new path was being forged, a shortcut for the bustling village. The planners looked at the tree, seeing only an obstruction, a stubborn obstacle in the way of progress. They spoke of its age as decay, its steadfastness as inflexibility. They saw no beauty in its enduring strength, only a problem to be solved. Yet the tree simply was. It didn't bend its trunk to avoid the axe, nor did it weep for recognition. Its value was inherent, not dependent on the surveyor's lines or the villager's hurried steps. This image of the unyielding oak, misunderstood and perhaps unappreciated by those around it, holds a profound resonance for us. How often do we find ourselves in a similar position, acting from a place of integrity, striving to do what is right, only to be misread, misinterpreted, or even criticized? It's a common human experience, this disconnect between our intention and others' perception. We live in a world that often demands external validation. We are taught to seek approval, to fit in, to be liked. And when our actions, however noble in their intent, are met with confusion or disapproval, there's a natural urge to explain, to defend, to adjust ourselves until we are understood and accepted. We might find ourselves twisting our words, softening our stances, or even abandoning our principles, all in the hope of bridging that gap of misunderstanding. But what if the gap isn't ours to bridge? What if the misunderstanding isn't about our failing to communicate, but about others' inability or unwillingness to see things differently? This is where the ancient wisdom of Stoicism offers a quiet, yet incredibly powerful path. A Stoic doesn't bend to be accepted. They remain principled, even if unseen or misread, trusting that virtue needs no applause. The Stoics understood a fundamental truth. We cannot control what others think, say, or feel about us. Their perceptions are shaped by their own experiences, their own biases, their own needs and fears. We can control only our own judgments, our own intentions, and our own actions. To sacrifice our integrity for the sake of another's approval is to surrender the one thing truly within our power, our character. It's like the oak tree trying to reshape its mighty trunk to fit a new, narrow path. It wouldn't just be a compromise, it would be a betrayal of its very nature. Consider those moments when you've chosen the more difficult path because it was the right one. Perhaps you spoke truth when silence would have been easier, or acted with compassion when cynicism was the norm. Maybe you held firm to a personal value in the face of peer pressure, or chose generosity when others prioritized gain. In such instances, the immediate reward might not have been praise or understanding. In fact, it might have been confusion, resentment, or even isolation. The world often rewards conformity more readily than quiet conviction. But the Stoic asks, for whom are you living your life? If your actions are rooted in virtue, in wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, then their inherent value does not diminish simply because they are not recognized or applauded. Virtue is its own reward. The peace that comes from knowing you have acted in accordance with your highest self, with what you genuinely believe is good and right, is a far more stable and enduring foundation for well-being than any external accolade. Think of someone you admire, perhaps a mentor or a figure from history, who embodied quiet strength. They likely weren't always popular, nor were their motives always clear to everyone around them. Yet their impact endured, not because they sought the spotlight, but because they consistently operated from a place of deep principle. Their resilience in the face of misunderstanding wasn't born of indifference, but from a profound inner certainty. They understood that their worth wasn't something to be granted by others, but something to be cultivated within themselves. This doesn't mean becoming aloof or uncaring. A Stoic still strives to be understood, to communicate clearly, and to build meaningful connections. But they do so from a place of inner strength, not desperation. If, despite their best efforts, misunderstanding persists, they do not crumble. They remember that their integrity is paramount. They trust that consistent, virtuous action over time can often speak louder than words, even if it doesn't always lead to immediate understanding. And even if it never does, the true reward is the unshakable peace of a clear conscience. Staying true when misread means cultivating an internal validation system. It means knowing yourself deeply, understanding your values, your intentions, your moral compass. It means performing your duties not for the praise it might garner, but because it is the right thing to do. It means accepting that you cannot control the narratives others construct about you, but you can always control the narrative you live within yourself. So, when you find yourself in the shadow of misunderstanding, when your actions are questioned or your intentions doubted, remember the unyielding oak. Stand firm in your principles. Do not bend to be accepted. Trust that virtue needs no applause. Its power lies within itself, an unshakable inner peace that shines brightest when the external world is dim. Focus on being true to your own best self, and let the quiet strength of your character be your guide. We invite you to reflect on moments in your own life when you chose to stay true despite misunderstanding. How did it feel? What did you learn? Share your thoughts in the comments below, or simply take a moment to consider how embracing this perspective might bring more peace and clarity to your own journey. Thank you for listening.